Buying affordable Mercedes parts. If you guys remember, I saw to it that I was going to get a video out, maybe a few years, maybe it was like a year ago, where I talked about all the different places I buy parts, like eBay, Mercedes dealerships, the good people at Pelican Parts, maybe even Niemöller. I think I mentioned Niemöller as like a favorite place that I would buy parts. But today I want to talk about getting the best value for a genuine Mercedes part, where to get it and how to get it, and what the beginning to end process is. So the first problem that we run into with people looking at parts is they don't know how to use the electronic parts catalog. And these electronic parts catalogs, each car has its own catalog, is based off of the dealer parts book that Mercedes published that had every single part in the car annotated in it, and what the quantities were, what the part numbers were, and whether there were any substitutions. Now, some of the items have been substituted over the years with updated versions, but for the most part, each number is traceable. So if I have a 1957 300 Adenauer and I need to go look up let's say the bolt that holds the parking brake pivot in, that part number is probably going to be a 186 part number or a 000 part number, because it's either tied to the chassis of the car and unique to that chassis, or it's a piece of hardware. And then I can look at it and it's probably still going to be the same in the Mercedes part system. But if I need, say, the screws that hold the wood trim onto the doors, that is also going to have a Mercedes part number. And if I go to the dealership and I use an old parts book and give them the original number, they're going to look at it and say, oh yeah, it substitutes to this modern number. So 99% of Mercedes part numbers are traceable from their original number all the way up to the present day. Now, some numbers have been lost or replaced or canceled. Somebody didn't put the substitution in when they published all the updates, but they were very, very good about ensuring that every part on the car was documented somewhere. Now, on some cars, it's easy. On a 123 or 126, you can find every nut, bolt, screw, clip just by browsing the EPC for a few minutes. On some vehicles, like a W460 chassis, if you're looking at the optional AC system, it's not so easy. You have to spend sometimes hours digging through the EPC to find the optional equipment. But the important thing is you have to realize that Mercedes did not build vehicles without documenting the part numbers. So where do I find this part number? So the easiest place is to go into either MB-TILA catalog, which is my favorite when it works. It's MB, little dash, TILE-catalog.de, as in Deutschland. And then you select the English option if you speak English, or you select the French option if you're a French person who actually likes spending money on their car, or you select the default, which is German, if you're trying to improve your German. But the point is, you can look up any engine, any transmission, any car. Another good one is Nemiga Parts, NEMIGAPARTS, NemigaParts.com or .net. And yes, Nemiga is a Russian website, so use your VPN. But the whole idea about Nemiga Parts is they have each chassis laid out, and then you can click on individual links to look at the engines, transmissions, etc. Now, I like all of these, but you have to familiarize yourself with the Mercedes parts group. So all Mercedes parts belong to a group. The most basic group is Group 1. I think groups 1 through 22 or something like that refer to maybe it's 1 through 20. They refer to the engine parts. And then after Group 20 or 22 or whatever, I think it's after Group 20. Maybe it's Group 21. From Group 21 on, they refer to chassis parts. So chassis parts are very, very complicated if you don't have somebody sit down and explain to you how the chassis system works. So the first I think up to group 60 are various systems on the cars, like the front axle, the rear axle, the springs and suspension, the transmission, the clutch. Then after group 60, you start to see stuff more like structural sheet metal, chrome trim, interior trim, HVAC system. So one has to do with like the systems you can remove from the car and rebuild as a subassembly, like a front suspension system. The others have to do with the integral parts of the body shell, the stuff that really can't be separated easily from the body. That's the way I like to look at them. And using those groups, and whether if you're looking for a windshield or a windshield seal, you can go into group, I think it's 68, but I could be wrong, to look up your glass and your glass seals and your glass trim so that you can take that number to your Mercedes dealership. Now, once you've familiarized yourself with the EPC and what each group has and how to look up your own parts, you can start shopping, because each Mercedes dealership runs a website, and that website has one job in life, and that is to sell parts. And the reason they exist is because, let's say I have a repair shop, you know, somewhere, I don't know, in Los Angeles, and I want to buy parts from the dealership in Anaheim. So I have a parts account with them. So I don't use up a bunch of their time and labor resources. I can go onto the website, whatever it is, Mercedes Star Parts or starqualityparts.com or mboemparts.com. They all have these funny URLs. I know that that's the dealership in Anaheim or whatever, and I can go type in my part number. It'll come up. They'll show me a price. Usually the price will be discounted. And then I can go order the part and they will FedEx it to me. So when I say the price is discounted, it varies from dealer to dealer. So if you type in a simple part number, let's use a part number that doesn't exist anymore, like a 003 545 2505, which is the fuel pump relay for a 560 SL or SEL or 420 SEL. That part might have come up with a list price of $190, but let's say some dealers offer a 30% discount. So I might be able to buy it for, $58 off. Let's say some dealerships offer a 10% discount, so I'll only be able to buy it for $19 off. Let's say some offer it for a 27% discount. You're going to see sometimes these incremental discounts of 1% over another dealership. And that's sort of how I shop, because if I need to buy a big item like some pistons, I needed pistons for a 300 SD engine, because here I'm dealing with a customer that spent a bunch of money fixing his engine on his 300 SD, and we still need pistons, and pistons are expensive. And so I found out there was a dealership in Texas that was willing to ship for free and sell me pistons at 43% off of Mercedes list price. It's a huge amount of money on a piston that costs about $300 a piece. I don't need just one. I need like 6 of them or whatever. That's a great deal. That's like less than $200 a piston. So there's some real savings there I could pass on to my customers. So that's the end goal here. The end goal is to use these websites to your advantage, because if somebody orders a part in like New York and they're in California, they don't care. They're going to have to box it up anyway. They just want to sell parts. The best way I can describe it is how a friend of mine at one of the dealerships said it. I just want to sell parts. I don't care to who or where. I just want to sell parts. So think about this before you order from Pelican or Rock Auto. Try to learn the Mercedes part system. I can't teach you this in a video, but you can teach yourself and save some money so that restoring your classic Mercedes or keeping it in good working order is easier and cheaper than ever. Enjoy learning about the Mercedes part system, and we'll see you in the next video. And don't forget to subscribe or consider buying one of our shirts. We'll see you in the future.